The African kingdom of Dahomey is at a crossroads. A new king, Gesu, has just taken power. Their enemy, the Oyo Empire, has joined forces with the Mahi people to raid Dahomey villages and sell their captives to European slavers. An evil trade that has pulled both nations into a vicious circle.
What?
The powerful Oyo have new guns and horses, but the young king has his own fearsome weapon, an elite force of female soldiers, the Agochie, led by a general, Naniska. Now, these warriors are all that stand between the Oyo and Dahomey's annihilation.
Yeah, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. All right, I know you're looking at the Woman King again. Somehow you're over fascinated with that. All right, so okay, I'm gonna turn it back on, but I gotta do the video. All right, so we need it. I know, but we need to go. All right, let's just move over here. Woo, stuff falling. All right, we can just put you over here. All right, here we go. Check out for Johnny Lawn Homo D Post. My boy right there, Hootie. Alright, so I had to run and do some errands this morning. That's why I'm kind of dressed like this. Hold on one second. Alright. So that's why I kind of dress like this. Am I gonna work today? Absolutely. I work every day. So I was out this morning and I had to do some errands, and I stopped to get some my favorite stuff, some ice cream. And of course the ice cream was very, very hard. It was an ice cream sandwich, and I bit down on it and broke my tooth. This one. And so I gotta go to the dentist. Anywho, I already know what that means. That means that I had to sell some stuff and work triple overtime, because dentistry is not good if I want to, you know. Anyway, that's my story today, and I'm still happy that I'm here, and I got an opportunity to talk to you guys and see Hootie and make him mad. Look, really mad. All right, so today, while I was out this morning, I just felt talking about this particular base, and so we're gonna talk about this base today. All right, I had this base for a minute, and I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know. There's a reason why I'm overwhelmed, because I like jazz basses. I just love them. I grew up with them, and that's another thing. People don't understand why you stay in a particular base. You stay in a particular base because it's like a chick. When a baby chick is born, or anything that's brand new, hatched, or whatever the case may be, first thing they see is you. So you they mama. The first thing I actually laid my eyes on bass wise was a Fender Jazz. Thought it was the most beautiful. Look, beautiful. I thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. Beautiful. What? I thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. I said it again, but it's okay. And so it's hard to get it out of because it's embedded in my mind and in my ear and in my spirit too. So because it's all those places, it ain't going nowhere. So today I brought this back out, and I want to talk about the John Shure bass. John Shure bass. Why I just don't talk about any other jazz? Well, I can, and not today. I'll pick another day. Today I just want to talk about the John Shure. And I could be saying Shure wrong. I think it's S-H-U-R or S-U-R-H. Either way, John, I'm sorry. You can call me and tell me what it really is later. But I definitely want to talk about your bass. This is a conglomeracy. I said conglomeracy. This is a conglomeracy of John Shure and Fender, American Fender. They got together and they came up with this concept. Actually, John came up with the concept, I think, because the Jazz has already had a body. And so John Shure Bases are beautifully done. This is an anniversary model, right? Anniversary means that, probably that color just came in that one color that one year, or you get a certain amount in that year, or they decide to make that particular one something different. So this is an anniversary model. All right, so I love it the most. Why? Yeah, you know why I love it the most? Why? The color scheme. It's like a turquoise. That's what it is. It's like greenish blue. In the dark, it could turn green. In the light, it could turn blue, or both, or vice versa. But this is a real John Shure. Now, does it have the original stock stuff in it? The only thing stock on this bass is the body, the pick guard, the bridge, the tuning keys, the neck, and the name. That's it. The preamp went out on it a couple years ago, and I had to change that. Now I got a Tone Monster in it, and I got Bart's in it. So I want to go through this bass, and let you try to get you to understand why I think these basses are totally incredible. So I'm coming through my SWR with no hone in it. I'm coming through that. Now let me tell you what's going on with the preamp. You got volume, blend, and then you got mids, and then you got high and low. Now let me explain the mid thing to you. This bass is very warm because of the rosewood neck and possibly the body. So this bass don't carry a lot of high mids, like extraordinary mids where it just pops right out. Some basses do. Most jazz basses do if they maple and maple. But this one doesn't have it. So what we're going to do, I had to put a mid in it just to boost it a little bit. I didn't say put the mid in it to make it do extraordinary things. I just want to put the mid in to make it bring up what little it had, bring it up to the top. That's how you use mids. A lot of times you can use mids and not use bass, because the mids will bring the body up, and the body has bass in it, so it will actually, you can use very little bass when you're using your mids. Why am I so tongue-tied today? I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied. Anyway, today we're gonna turn everything back. You pretty much already heard this bass. I'm just right now. I'm just going through it. Front pickup, and I got the amp turned down really low because I don't want to blast y'all out. The playability on this bass, the neck rolls, so that's what I like about it. Most Fender basses are flat necked. All right, this one has a roll on it, and I like that part. Did I tune this thing up? Absolutely not. This is what we need to do, and I try to do that every time I get on video, because a lot of times, man, stuff be all whacked. Yeah. See? I'm shy. I'm not much. I can hear it, though. Enough when I can hear it. Just enough where I can hear it. Okay, let's talk about more of these basses. I think they came out in like 96, 95. John Shure came out in about 95. And they went up to like 2000. No, they went up to about 2000, I think, or either 2001, maybe 2002. But I know the most vibrant ones were anywhere between 95 and 98 or 99. That's just my opinion. The company didn't say that. I'm saying that. The most vibrant sounding ones were 98 and 90, between 95 and 98 and 99. Okay, I take this bass to be a workhorse. It does exactly what you need it to do when you need to do it, and it does it well. It sounds like a jazz. It sounds, it doesn't have a whole lot of glass top. I mean, it probably would if I wanted to have glass top, but I keep the mids cut kind of down because I want an even sound across the board. A lot of cats who don't do recordings never understand the concept of their bass. All right, when you start doing recordings, I mean live recordings or either in-house studio recordings, you find out that all that superpower that you want on your bass, it's not even necessary when it comes to plug straight in recording or digital recording itself. It's all about learning your bass. Until you learn your bass, you just play it. You just playing. You just a player, And I'd rather be a consistent player that knows my bass. That's why Marcus never really changes his bass. He's a consistent guy. He knows what his bass sounds like when it. I don't care what amp he goes on. It's gonna always sound the same. That's what I love about Marcus Miller. I love his playing too, but the consistency of what he plays tells me that he knows what he got in his hand, and his bass sounds like him, right? Not saying that you can't find a bass that sounds like you. You can always find a bass that sounds like you. You just have to keep it in your hands, and then you have to play it constantly. All right? Constantly means what? That's all I play, man. Majority of the time, that's what I got in my hand. Then you will actually start to learn your bass, and your bass will actually become a part of you, and it will start talking like you talk. The issue that I'm having on a lot of these videos coming on Facebook and YouTube is that these guys have no voice. They just I got this kind of bass and I'm playing it, and this is what you're gonna sound like. No, you're not gonna sound like that. Get that out your head, let that roll around for a little bit, and throw it back out. That's not gonna happen. A bass sounds the way you want it to sound when it sticks with you for a while. It's like people used to say, Lord, that dog look just like you. Because that dog hang with you all the time. That dog beginning to look just like y'all begin to look alike. Like me and Hootie. He's hanging with me all the time. Alright, so what I'm saying, guys, is this. Let's go back to the John Shure. The John Shure, to me, the body style of the John Shure is actually smaller. And it's sleek, more sleek looking. Very fast looking bass. The neck on the John Shure, it has that kind of P kind of jazz kind of neck, and you get that kind of thickness of bottom, richness of bottom. You don't get that I need to hear bottom coming out of my amp. It's already there. You just have to pronounce it correctly. Boy, you said that right, didn't you? You just have to pronounce the bass that's in your bass correctly. And a lot of guys don't know how to do that. They go and they turn their bass on 10, and then you really don't know what your bass sounds like on 10. Anything on 10 is going to be loud. All right, is it going to be authentic? That's the word. Are your bass going to be authentic, or and the bass going to sound the way it's supposed to sound until you put your hands on it and started maneuvering things incorrectly. There's another thing. That's why I always tell you guys, learn your bass, because learning your bass actually puts you in a different level from the other bass player. He may have more chop than you, but you have tone. And that's what he don't have. He's trying to find it, and he's got the chops, but you got the tone. I'd rather have the tone than have all those super chops. I'd rather have tone any day than have all those super chops. Because super chops are nice, but if you don't have the tone to go with it, they just super chops. That's just my opinion. That's written in the Bible. But not the real Bible. It's my Bible. It's just mine. A bass should always sound like a bass. I don't care what amp you're coming through. You can have all the glass at the top. That's cool. But it should have distinct and unique and undergirth bottom. Undergirth. I said undergirth. Boy, you're using some words today. Don't ask me to spell them. but I'm using them. All right, so a bass should always have a thickness of undergirth without you even throwing bass to 10. And you don't always have to put your bass on 10 for volume wise. Listen to what your bass sounds like without on low volume. All right, without a lot of boosting. You know, I got it on 10. I got everything on 10. Yeah, and everything sounds like you got it on 10. Because I don't hear nothing but a bunch of, you know, glass on the top and bottom, you know, blood bottom, and mids just screaming, and everything sounds crazy. Everyone's like, well, you know, all the tone is in your hand. Yeah, okay. If it's all the tone is in your hand, when are we gonna start hearing it? That's my thing. If all the tone is in your hand, your fingers, when are we gonna start hearing that tone? And when are you gonna learn your bass well enough where we can actually go, wow, dude, I can hear the tone through your fingers. I can hear your tone. Instead of going, that bass sounds great, man. That thing got a lot of pop. It's just glass is popping. You know, it's not about popping all the time, guys. It's about tone. When bass first came out, it was about the thickness of the tone. The thickness of the tone. That was the greatness of the bass. The thickness of the tone. Boy, you preaching today. Some are hearing and some are not. Those who are lost will hear. Okay, nobody said you couldn't put glass on the top. Nobody said that. It actually makes your notes a lot more cleaner, but it doesn't mean you have to run it on 10. Most guys that I'm hearing come across YouTube have their basses, the volume, the treble on 10, because you tune down so low that you're trying to get that sizzle. You can tune down low. Nobody said that's not in the Bible of mine. But when you tune down low, you do know everything gets thicker down on the bottom. All right, and then just because you crank your treble up doesn't mean that it's gonna sound any better. All right, the bottom is what's gonna be coming across to us. All right, now the cleanliness of the bass is actually depends on the mid cut of the bass, or the mids of the bass, or the body, how the body is projecting itself, and what kind of woods are sawed up in there, and how they fixed up in there, and how you gonna bring them across where everybody can enjoy them. Not hear them, enjoy them. Man, oh man. Boy, you better hurry go to the dentist, because all of a sudden you got smartest. See, although this bass sounds a little bit on the top half of the side, I still hear that bottom overwhelming. I hear the bottom, you know, just a little bit over the top. And that's what I want. I want the bottom a little bit over the top. I don't need the top cutting everything up, all right? Because it's a bass. It's a bass. I want it to sound like a bass, not like a guitar. Guitar was the last part they put on bass, all right? This is a bass. Now, this is without any trouble. Check this out. Without any trouble, I still hear trouble. You get it? So I don't have no trouble on this bass now. So it's still present on the bass. The only thing, a lot of times our ears are so high fidelity. I'm making up words. High fidelity that we can't get away from that high end. But the high end is always there. But what we should be focusing on mostly is the bottom on the bass. See, I still hear all that cleanliness, next to godliness, on this bass, and ain't no trouble on it. Ain't that something? It's the mids, baby. Check it out. When you learn your mids, you can do amazing things. Check this out. No mids. You see here that cleanliness on the bottom? Yeah. Now watch me start dialing mids. Going to D10. That bottom is still there. The mids are coming up now and bringing them up. The mids bringing everything up, right? It's not overkill. It's just bringing it up. Check it out. Bring the mids. Take the mids past D10. One click past D10. Okay, we're gonna go another click. See? I have no trouble on it all. But I want to bring that body up. All right? Another click on the mids. You hear stuff falling? You hear stuff falling? You hear stuff falling? I haven't turned the bass up yet. But hear stuff falling? That's because that mids is bringing up that it's surrounding this whole place with bottom. All right? The bottom. Now, if I go to my bass and turn my bass, to about one click, let's go to detail. Everything changes. Watch. Okay, listen, watch this. You can hear the bottom rolling there, right? More bottom than what it was. But I'm gonna take the mids and I'm gonna show you something. Watch this. So I guess you asked me, so what do you have on your amp? On my amp, it's probably set at around 9 o'clock. Everything is straight 9 o'clock. It ain't even got to D10 yet. Straight 9 o'clock. I don't want to color my tone. I want to pull from my bass whatever I want. I don't want to pull it from that amp. I want that amp to bring everything up and let you hear it. All right? When I say bring everything up, I mean everything that I give to that amp. I want it to come to you the way I hear it. All right? So I took everything that I need to get done on this bass comes from the bass, not from the amp. All right? So and it's so amazing though. It's so amazing just to start dialing stuff in. Treble, mid, bass, whatever you want to call it. It's about how you direct it to your amp. All right, you know what your bass sounds like, but it's how you direct all this stuff that's going on in your bass to your amp. Your amp is only to make it loud enough where people can hear it other than you. All right, because most times you've got an amp, you're using it for a monitor, because everything in ear now. So I use my amp as a monitor, not as a driving force to let you hear what I'm doing. So I don't ever color my amp. If you walk into my church gigs and stuff like that, You look at it, my amp, and you be like, what? It ain't on. Pretty much it's not. You know, what you hearing is what my bass sounds like. That's all I want you to hear. So I turn my volume up enough where the camera can pick up what I needed to pick up without overkilling it. All right. But what you hear color-wise is coming from the bass, not the amp. A lot of guys don't even know how to turn their horns off on the amp. Oh, Lord, if I turn my horn off, I sell the bass. That's where you messing up at. If you can turn your horn off and you get to the point where you need to sell your bass because it don't sound like this anymore, it's not the bass fault, it is your fault. All right? Learn your bass. Learn everything about your bass and why your bass does what it does and why it don't do in certain areas what it's supposed to do. It ain't the bass fault. It's probably the room. It's probably mostly you. What? Are you kidding me? I've been playing bass for 45 years. Yeah, and it's mostly you. And it's okay to accept that it's mostly you and it's not the bass fault. And I think that's why a lot of us go out and buy 30 basses, 40 basses, because we want a different tone. And every time we go somewhere, we either want to look good with that certain bass in our hand. We want people to admire us because we does have it. Look, because we does have that certain bass, certain bass in our hand, or that bass is you. Most time when I look at bass players on concerts and stuff, I can tell whether that bass is them or they just picked it up because of endorsement purposes, or they picked it up because they had 30 or 40 of them and they wanted to play this from that day. And it's cool. Is that what you want to do? So, get back to the John Shure. John Shure came with maple necks. It came with rosewood neck. When you get on the rosewood neck, it's a whole new different ball game. Why? Because rosewood, as you play it, the longer you play it, that concert or that night, it becomes warmer and warmer. So it starts filling up the room a little bit differently. Where a maple neck would actually stay pretty much in the same area, glass-wise. Rosewood won't give you the top glass that a maple will because of the distance of the wood. Okay, we get it. Most cats like me, I like darker woods. I love maple. I prefer pretty much a lot of time darker wood because I want my sound to become thicker as the concert goes on. All right, so I just said about everything I can say about these basses, the John Shure basses, and playing bass itself. A lot of you hearing it, a lot of you don't want to admit it, and it's okay. Because it took me years to figure this out. Did you hear what I said? It took me years to figure this out. That's shameful to say. But then again, I'm glad I got to this point where I can go, yeah, bro, I don't need to do all that to get this done. All right? I had one guy tell me one time, and it made so much sense after he left. He said, hey, man, anything past the 7th fret, don't pay me money. Oh! He said, most of my playing is from 1 to 7. He said, anything past that, pretty much don't pay me money. I get paid for anything between 1 to 7. Made sense to me. Not 1 to 12, he said. 1 to 7. So once you start learning how to play real bass, and a lot of people don't know what that means, it doesn't mean that you know 55,000 chords or 232 runs. But that doesn't make you a real bass player. That just make you flashy. But when somebody asks you how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, you got to play 200 runs and 32 chords, and then you don't get paid. So my thing, guys, is learn your bass. Learn your bass. So if you got 2 or 3 basses, learn them all. But your main bass is what you should always learn. You should always know the tone, what it can do. The bass can do anything. Issue is you don't know what it can do and what it cannot do. In your mind, because it doesn't do what this bass does, you figured it doesn't do it. But it does. It's always the how do you say it? The player. Because the bass does nothing. See, this bass is laying right here. It does nothing. Until I put my hand on it, it starts doing stuff. So, it's not the bass, it's the player. Learn your instrument, because, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop. If you're on a battlefield and your gun doesn't react the way you want it to, what are you gonna do? Stop and get another one? Hey, I gotta go back to the barracks. Excuse me.